thank goodness for Terry, and thank goodness for others too. We have other people in our association that have been equally as good. We make sure that we put a notice of our meeting and what's going on every house. If you're not at a meeting, at least you know there was a meeting, and you know a little bit about what it was about. So, we do have another member here. I'd like to have him step forward. Raymond is also on our board. He is a member at large and also delivering and taking mail out and every other thing that we ask him to do. And we truly appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Hope you all can hear me loud and clear, right? I'm Raymond Zavala, and I've been helping out with Betty for a very long time, and I've also been heavily involved in the major issues with the city, because my main goal is to hold all the elected officials accountable, not only fiscally, but in their voting track. It seems to us, well, at least to me, that they've forgotten about senior citizens.
Yeah.
They'll transfer money from our account, well, for the senior citizen to other places. But
Talk about yourself, Raymond.
getting back to what I do, I am a board member after Betty invited me, and it has been a sincere pleasure to serve, even though I come out from the Gardendale Neighborhood Association, of which I am a member, and I'm available to help you when I can, and I'm dedicated to the cause of holding people accountable.
Thank you, Raymond. Thank you. Is Betty Eckert here? We have another member at large here.
She's not here.
She hasn't come in. She was out of town. She was driving in. I can't tell if she's here. The other two people that are going to be leaving our neighborhood that have served on our board for years in every capacity is here, and I'd like for him to say a few words. He was saying, Betty, you can't put me on the board next year because we're moving. My heart is broken. I don't want him to move, but I want him to be happy wherever he is. And it is Bill Gutierrez. He served in every capacity, sitting over to the right. And his other person here, Kathy Moran, who also has been so helpful in our neighborhood. I can't thank the people. We have a strong board with a lot of experience and a lot of caring about what goes on in San Antonio. We care for my neighborhood. I do think that our speaker has arrived.
Yes.
Has he?
Yes.
Okay, I can't see well. I don't hear, I don't walk, and I don't see. Okay, I'm going to turn the meeting over because we're going to talk about Proposition A first, and then we're going to talk about recompenses. So I'm going to turn it over to him. He come up to the podium here, and just a minute. I believe that you're going to introduce him, right? Instead of me?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Danny Diaz. We're glad to welcome Danny Diaz. He is the president. Is it the San Antonio Association of Police Officers?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I got it right. Many years on the force. You're retired now. I'm not retired.
I'm still there.
You still there?
I'm still there.
Good for you.
I'll take care of that.
All right.
So,
Thank you, sir.
thank you, ma'am. So thank y'all very much for having me.
You might be able to put that on the stand, sir.
That's all right. I'm gonna move around a little bit, so I can't sit still. Again, my name is Danny Diaz. I'm the president of the San Antonio Police Officers Association. A little bit about me: I've been on the department for 31 years. Was on the SWAT team for 22, and then over the last 2.5 years, I've been president of this association. Since I started, it seems like it's been one proposition after another. First proposition being 2 years ago, to take away civil service and collective bargaining from your police officers. And now, a little bit of that is still in this proposition. The difference between now and then was what's in this proposition now affects you individually, as a community, and as a San Antonio. And I'll explain how. Over the last couple of years, we've had several events that have impacted not only our nation, but our community. Since then, our city has made efforts to ensure that effective policing is in place despite the officer shortage that we have. Now, I say that because I've had conversations with some of my old deputy chiefs that have retired, and one in particular that used to do the staffing for us left in 96, 95, right in that time frame. I found a document that he had on staffing, and I was able to reach out to him and ask him if he remembered what he wrote on the right-hand side of his presentation. He said, absolutely. He said, we need more officers. He said, by the way, how many do you have now? I said, sir, you know the game. On paper, it's 2,503. Actual in uniform, it's 2,300, just maybe a little bit more, 23, 25, somewhere right in there. And he goes, wow, you sure have come a long way in 3 decades. Because when I left, we were just over 1,900. 17% increase in the last 30 years. It's unacceptable from our standpoint. There is no quick solution. Proposition A was approved by City Council to appear in May election ballot. Activists proposed several reforms that would only hinder the effective policing and the community safety today.
Pardon me, Officer Diaz.
Sir.
I apologize for interrupting, sir. I am totally unfamiliar with this. Could you give me just a brief summary, please?
Mr. Green, if we'll hold the questions at the end, and we'll
I understand, but I want to
we'll
know
open it up for questions
I
and
understand.
statements, please.
I want you to follow what he's telling me, but I can't unless I know the basic premise.
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, but you just wait till, if you have a question or a comment, if you'll wait, we'll have a few minutes. We have a really heavy schedule, and we're honored to be, for Mr. Diaz to be here. And he has other commitments besides us tonight, so please, I'm gonna ask you to keep your question down. If you got a question, if he can't answer, I'll answer it. I'll get the answer for you.
I'll get to those things in just a second.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So the activists have encouraged citizens to sign a petition to decriminalize marijuana and abortion. I'm here to tell you that the San Antonio Police Department has never arrested a physician for doing an abortion or doing a procedure, right? We're short-staffed. We don't have the ability to sit at a Planned Parenthood and wait for somebody to do that. That's just not going to happen, nor has the department ever done that. That is a state issue. That is not a city charter issue. Same thing with marijuana. What people seem to forget, and what these activists seem to forget, is that we took an oath to uphold the laws that are in place. Right? In that oath, we're supposed to arrest people that have narcotics. Marijuana is a narcotic. They want it legalized, they need to go to Austin and get that approved, not here through the city charter. They left out 4 other issues on the petition. Proposition A is just about decriminalizing marijuana. Their agenda is much greater than that. City Attorney Andy Segovia said that 5 out of the 6 items on this proposition were unenforceable. We beg to differ. History already proves that. If you look at Seattle, Portland, Oakland, and now Austin, drive 90 miles up the road, and you'll see what's happening to those cities. In fact, in the city or in the state of Oregon, there's already businesses that have left some of these cities when they passed a proposition like this because they weren't able to stay open, right? These include limiting law enforcement of marijuana and abortion-related offenses, a complete ban of chokeholds and no-knock warrants, expanding silent release policy. So let me tell you about chokeholds. It's a state law. It's been in our policies and procedures since the 1990s. The only way and the only time that an officer can use a chokehold is in a life or death situation. Okay? The banning of no-knock warrants. Ladies and gentlemen, I explained earlier to you, I was on your SWAT team for 22 years. That is a tool of the trade that officers use to go after felons. We just don't pick any house at random. There's a lot of procedures that are in place to make sure that the things that happen up north don't happen here. And I've been asked, how many citizens have been shot while executing a warrant here in San Antonio? I will tell you it's 0. The only ones that have been is myself and my lieutenant executing a warrant. And we understood it because it's part of the job. Now, there have been individuals that have been shot by officers in this city that has nothing to do with no-knock warrants. And we can research that, and I'll tell you, almost 2.5 decades of being on a team, it didn't happen here. If the proposition expands a sudden release policy, here's what can happen. It promotes criminal behavior with 0 jail time, damage to property up to $2,500, graffiti. Individuals can go into a convenience store and steal up to $750. No jail time, citation, or a verbal warning. Theft of services. They can go into a restaurant and eat up to $750 worth of food, walk the check, get a citation or a verbal warning. Now, I've been asked, well, can't they file a civil suit? Okay, what did we just do? You file a civil suit, you just put more cost onto the owner by having to pay for attorney's fees. Not to say that they're even going to get any restitution that way. Right? 750 is more than some small businesses or restaurants can incur, right, in this city. Larceny and theft-related offenses have increased in the city of San Antonio by 16.2%. Not making up these numbers. These are the numbers that were presented to City Council by the San Antonio Police Department.
Is that 1 year? Is that 1 year?
Yes, sir.
1 year?
Yes, sir.
1 year?
1 year. Yes. So theft, I want to give you the exact number. Larceny and theft-related offenses have risen 16.2%. Okay. In 2022, 1 year. Not to mention other crimes that have risen. I can tell you, homicides right now are up 45%. Human trafficking is up 70%. Don't take my word for it. Just look up City Council, look at the meetings when the department presented these numbers to City Hall. It's that
What was that last number? I'm sorry.
70% on human trafficking.
45%.
The only enforceable reform that the city attorney stated is a justice director position that could be passed or enforceable. This individual will oversee city budgets and contracts concerning San Antonio police officers, but cannot have any law enforcement experience.
Why?
That's what they put in their proposition. So if you go back to Proposition B, what they were saying back then is that we needed more training, right? Officers needed more training, how to de-escalate, how to do certain things to get the community safe. Well, how do you know to do that if you've never been in the business, been a police officer, or had any involvement in any type of law enforcement capacity? Now you're including the military, right? You've got people that have served for their country that were MPs. That's a law enforcement capacity. Now they're going to be able to dictate to them what they can and can't do. It's not right, and it's not fair. We've seen what's happened to cities like San Francisco, Oakland, and Austin. Ladies and gentlemen, they came out yesterday. The city of Austin is now having DPS assist them to patrol the city of Austin because they don't have enough police officers. Is that what you want here? If this proposition passes, our city could crumble like those others. It will cause more harm than good. What we ask from the San Antonio Police Officers Association is that you please help us in voting against this charter. We do not want to wind up like the other cities. This is a different place. I truly believe, and these officers that are here with me today, we all believe that this community loves their police officers.
Yes.
The biggest problem we have here in San Antonio is that you don't know what's happening because you haven't heard about it. That is what they want. When they got individuals to sign this petition, it's what they wanted. Because they took the petition and said, hey, do you want to legalize small amounts of marijuana and abortion? But they didn't tell them the rest of the 13 pages, what was in it. If those individuals were to know what was in those 13 pages, it might be a different story. They wouldn't have had their signature. It's misleading. It's misleading to this community. And it's up to us now to do our best to educate you. And now I ask you to assist us to spread the word. This proposition cannot pass. If you look at the sample ballot, it's going to take you 3 days to read it. And at the very bottom, it says for or against. Please, against. Now with that, if it's all right, Ms. Betty, I'll take any questions.
There's no mean no and yes mean yes.
The way it is on,
Right.
it's for or against this time around. And they did that to us the last time.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
As a widow of an Air Force MP, as you put it, I'd like to say there are many young men and women who came into service at 18 and into that career field, so at 21 they could get out and go into the civilian police force. And the way you refer to it is like they are ignorant. They come across the same problems as civilian.
Thank you, Pastor.
That's not, no ma'am, that's not what I was saying. What I was saying is, in this proposition, they cannot have, if it passes, that Justice Director cannot have any law enforcement experience. So make no mistake about it. Those APs and MPs and all the ones that did law enforcement work in the military, that is not what I said. What I'm saying is, they can be excluded from here because they were law enforcement officers in the military. That is not right. So I want to clarify that. Those are my brothers and sisters that are law enforcement officers in the military. In fact, they're my brothers and sisters because they take care of this country. We try to do the same thing on the civilian side. So I want to make sure we're clear with that. They're with us and we're with them. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
In the charter, it says, under the part with the marijuana, that it refers to a controlled substance. Any controlled substance, 4 ounces or less. And then in parentheses, they put the K2, which K2 is not CBD. K2 is a chemical from China that they sell in the store. But to me, it's unclear. 2 things. K2 is bad. You don't want that legalized or that let go. But the other thing was they just said controlled substances. And if I had, say, 4 ounces of cocaine, I mean, that's a lot. Or they also said they don't want the city to test the THC levels. So if I go and baggy 5 pounds of marijuana and, I bought it at the smoke shop, you can't test it for THC. I get away scot-free.
Yes, that's what they want.
That's correct. So let me explain how this has happened. Since its inception, the way that it started is that 0.25 grams of marijuana, we were supposed to issue citations, take the marijuana, put it in the property, and then get filed on at a later date. It's been pretty close to 5 years now. I have yet to see anyone that's been convicted or paid a fine for those citations for possession of marijuana. Somehow or another, the DA has continued to raise the levels. It went from 0.25, now it's gotten up to 4 ounces. Right? How much further is this going to go?
That's about what that much means.
So here's the other thing, and the other side, the individuals from Act for SA are saying, we've saved $4 million by not putting people in jail with nonviolent crimes, right? Well, let's ask the next question. Where is that $4 million? Right. And here's the thing too, in their proposition, you can't go to their website anymore to see it because they took it down. But you can go to ours and find it. So, in that proposition, in those 13 pages, what's in there is called voyeurism. San Antonio police officers cannot arrest anybody for voyeurism. Anybody know what voyeurism means? Peeping Toms. So what is peeping Toms? What can we tie that to? Sex offenders. So don't tell me that we can't tie the two. Don't tell me that we're stopping crimes because of the things that they're listing. It's a detriment to this community. And I will tell you again and again, we need to vote against this proposition. Any other questions? Sir.
Danny, there's rumor floating that the mayor said that the police officers aren't allowed to talk about Proposition A, whether they're for it or against it. So I guess especially if they're on city time. What's the actuality of what's being shared out there, and what can police officers share?
Well, that's a constant, sir. In uniform, look, I will tell you right now, the safe officers that are here, these officers in plain clothes are actually on duty. You can't ask them any questions on the proposition. That's my job. You want a question answered, you come ask me. They can answer any question when they're off duty or in union capacity. They're all members. That's different. In uniform, they cannot. Right? That's a mandate that comes every election year, every election time. They're not allowed to speak about those issues on duty. Just like there's certain questions that you can't ask your safe officers, especially political questions when they're in uniform. Just not allowed.
Yeah, is that a law or is that just a mandate?
That's a mandate.
So it's not a law, it's just something the city does.
So a follow-up to that, one of the things that the city attorney had said, Andy Segovia had said, that any city councilman wouldn't be given their opinion on it while they're on city time as well. Yet at least two of the city councilmen went out to take a picture with Act for SA that's on their Act for SA's website and sign the petition, possibly. Are you able to identify which city councilmen are for the proposition, have come out and said they're for the proposition or not?
You're talking about the one that was taken in front of City Hall?
Yes.
Okay. Jerry Rodriguez, Terry Castillo, and Councilman Dohlen.
So do you know if that was on city time or not?
I don't know. I just know the picture right in front of City Hall.
You're talking about a picture, Councilman Bravo, he's talking about a picture from, what, I don't know, a year before, months before this was ever developed or patched? This is not...
I can't hear you, Tim.
I'm saying Danny Diaz is talking about a picture that where I was, a picture of me with somebody who has been involved in this charter, but he's misrepresenting my position.
Councilman, I was asked a question and I answered it. Now,
That picture had nothing to do with this charter.
all right, I'll say this and then I'll end it. I beg to differ, sir, because on their website, it had that picture, and on the bottom, it said, please donate GoFundMe page for Proposition A.
Somebody put that on afterwards. You could put anything on a photo a year later. Danny, you and I sat and we had breakfast together, and you told me that you can, that I can count on your word, and that you're an honest person, and this is misrepresenting.
No, sir. So what he's talking about, and you're absolutely right, sir. That's my word. And I'm doing nothing since I started this job. Nothing but telling the truth. And here's the truth. For 2 years, sir, I asked to speak to you. Because when I started, I went to the mayor, the city manager, the president of the Greater Chamber, because I knew there needed to be a change. There needed to be a change in the way things were. Because nobody talks to anyone. So I reached out. And for 2 years, sir, you dodged me. So you called me and wanted to have a meeting. Sir, we had events in the Lincoln Courts, which is in your district. Didn't want anything to do with us giving backpacks. So I agreed to meet with you. You called. Myself and my PAC chairman, Johnny Bettis, showed up. And I asked you this question. And I told you, please don't get offended, because I ask every councilman this question. What's the meeting here for today? Correct? And you said, Danny, I'm having problems with homeless. I can't give them a second chance unless y'all are knocking down doors and arresting people. My response to you was, let me stop you right there. Because this proposition and Proposition B that you signed, okay?
Oh.
Proposition B, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Okay?
Not the justice.
Took away whatever you say, sir. So what you're asking me to do, the things that you signed or the things that you're backing, is stopping me from doing those very same things. How does that make sense?
I asked you to help me crack down on crime houses. That's what I wanted to do, so that we could get the drugs off the street.
Okay.
But
By this
people
charter,
in
sir?
Windsor have a police accountability T-shirt
Okay.
on it.
By this charter, sir,
One at a time.
we are not able to crack down on criminal offenses because you're wanting to keep people out of jail. That's it. So, my word, I'm staying to it. I've done nothing but said the truth. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
So I have a question about the keeping people out of jail. So is it that when you find somebody committing these crimes, you cite them rather than taking them to jail, but if they are convicted after that citation, they could still get a jail sentence? Or is it actually saying that these crimes will never do jail time, even if convicted, it's just a fine? I don't quite understand that part.
So that is the intent, right? Here's the intent, and what I've been told over and over again is that this is for first-time offenders. Well, ma'am, if we're letting them go, they'll never be a first-time offender, for one. Two, if we follow the way cite and release is now with marijuana and do it to this proposition, no one will ever be arrested, right? So they're just going to let them go because the DA right now isn't doing his job on convicting. Don't take my word for it. Look at Case Out 12 last night. They did a whole story on it. How do you lose 18 district attorneys? And they all say the same thing on an exit interview. They're being very specific. There's even a memo, according to those ADAs, that the way to move up in the district attorney's office is not on how many convictions you get, but how many cases you just close out. Sir.
We often hear in other cities and other areas, they say, let's stop focusing on the nonviolent crimes of marijuana, so you can start focusing on the real problems, the robbery, the gunshots that we constantly hear, all these things that are real violence in our society. How would you respond to that?
Here's the thing, sir, is a lot of those are tied together.
Which,
right?
what are tied together?
The drugs, you can tie it into the individuals that are causing the murders, right? That's what's happening now. You can tie that into it. You can say they're nonviolent or not. They're violent, right? Here's the other thing. Again, and I mentioned this earlier, as San Antonio police officers, we are bound by law and the oath that we took to uphold the law. Local, state, federal. We don't have a choice.
You enforce all those levels?
Yes, sir.
In San Antonio?
Yes, sir.
You're allowed to do that?
Yes, sir.
Huh.
Don't look at me. Look at those officers right there. They're going to tell you the same thing.
Okay. Do you have any?
We're working on federal cases right now, so.
Is there?
So, what I will tell you, sir, what I will tell you is it's part of our job. We used to run warrants for FBI, DEA all the time. We used to run warrants in Pleasanton, Post, Fredericksburg, because your SWAT team is what's called a Tier 1 group. They go to 32 counties surrounding. And this is why I'm here to educate you. These are the jobs that we have to do. We have to follow that oath. If not, now we get in trouble.
You gotta do your job.
That's it.
You've taken that oath.
That's it.
Your job, I understand.
Again, this thing should not be handled at a city charter level. You want these things passed, go to Austin and talk to those legislators. That's where we're at. Last question.
I'm sure there is, but there was also an oath to the Constitution, that's correct.
Yes, sir.
And that is the highest animal.
Yes, sir.
That whole charter breaks the entire highest land of the law.
Absolutely.
No one's being arrested. And an elected official who willfully breaks the Constitution, willfully, that is treason.
We have a whole Congress full of them now.
All right. So let me go back to one statement that you said. The fact of nobody's being arrested, that's an incorrect statement. And I will say that, sir, because of this. our records show that our arrests are up, right? What is not up is convictions, right? Don't take my word for it. I got a cease and desist letter, and so did my PR firm, to stop putting the chart that I got the statistics from the district clerk's office. Okay, you don't want those. We'll continue putting mugshots in the newspaper of people that you've released, felons, that are going out and committing more felonies. It's not your department, it's not your officers, it's above us.
Correct.
Right?
And I do apologize for that one.
So with that, and not to interrupt, sir, excuse me, but with that, I would ask, again, please, vote against this proposition. Because if not, it is a detriment to this community. Okay? I do have some signs that I will bring out here shortly, and I'll leave them back here in the back if you'd like. Thank you for having me again, Ms. Fair. I appreciate
Thank you
it.
for coming. We're going to have, I think we've got a lot of information. We're going to have another speaker speak on this in a minute, but I'm going to stop the meeting because my vice chair was going to get me through the agenda. I never opened a meeting, so we haven't had a meeting. So the meeting is now open. With me being said that, we're going to ask Pastor David to come forward. We're going to present colors as we always do at a meeting. And then we're going to get started. We'll have a second speaker that's going to speak a little bit more on the proposition from a different viewpoint. Whatever you do, please bear with me. Remember, I told you I'm blind. I don't hear good. I'm 92 years old. My secretary should have been over here. My vice president said he was going to sit next to me to get me through the agenda. He's sitting over there. So, do I have a problem? No. The meeting is now called to order. Pastor, would you please step forward and say a blessing over the meeting?
It is an honor to have everyone here, and I want to remind Betty that in the Bible it says that Moses kept working until he was 120. But if you don't mind, please join me in a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we are thankful for each and every one who has come today. And we are blessed that you are here with us as well. And we're asking, Father, for the love of Christ to be shared among us, that we may have your wisdom and your guidance in what we say, in the decisions that we take, and in the actions that we do. Father, we ask for your protection and your safety, not only tonight, but always. And thank you, Lord, for each and every one of these people and everyone that is being represented here. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
The next thing we're going to do is have some exercise because Raven Zavala is going to present our flag to us. Let's stand. We may all stand for a minute and get some exercise. Step forward, Raven.
Let us all recite the allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And I'm sorry, someone should have reminded me of what I'm doing, right? Councilman Bravo will tell you that I don't always know, but I get it right eventually. We've had our first speaker. I'm going to ask Patrick Van Dohlen from Family Services to come forward and speak on this proposition just a little bit more. And then we're going to move into our rapid transit program. And when we do that, I want the people that are here, the presidents from the other associations, to come up and sit at this table up here. We do have some maps and so forth. So Patrick, this is Patrick Van Dohlen. Please make him welcome.
Well, howdy. No Aggies out there? How about Texans? Howdy. Thank you. Well, happy Tuesday and happy Lent for you that are participating in the 40 days in the desert, like our Lord did. Then we're getting close to the end of the last full week of Lent, and we're praying for perseverance. So thank you, Pastor, for those words of inspiration and to fortify us as we go through and finish these last 40 days of Lent and go forward into the Easter season. So, how many people know the original name of Prop A before it became Proposition A on the ballot?
Justice policy.
The Justice Policy, the San Antonio Justice Policy. And the San Antonio Justice Policy was put together by an organization called Act for SA. Act for SA is the new name, the prior name of the people, similar people that are working on this, also worked on Proposition B in 2021. How many people voted on the Proposition B in 2021 city election? It would have been a May election. Well, just voted. Okay. So Proposition B then was to defund the police, as Danny Diaz did say. That was the intent of it. And so, how many people voted against Proposition B? Okay, you made the right choice, because we still have a police force. And we have safety and security for our families. That's what we need. Quality of life is the issue that San Antonio Family Association is concerned about, is quality of life and family, safety, and security. San Antonio is the city of St. Anthony. The seat of faith in Texas was planted right here in 1691, June 13th, the feast day of St. Anthony. That's where San Antonio got its name. On the banks of San Antonio River, the first Mass was celebrated there, and that planted the seat of faith. Matter of fact, if you go into the San Fernando Cathedral, who've been in the cathedral before? Who's seen the marker? There's one marker actually in front of the altar. There's a new marker between the altar and the tabernacle. This has been moved actually. But both of those markers state that those points in the San Fernando Cathedral are the exact center of the city of San Antonio. Did you know that? The way our city was planned and mapped out was this exact center of the city of San Antonio is inside the cathedral, San Fernando Cathedral. Amazing. Incredible. We are a city built on Judeo-Christian values. And those Judeo-Christian values came with, we all know, is the Ten Commandments, right? The Ten Commandments. So, in Exodus chapter 20, verse 13, thou shalt not kill. Right after that, in the seventh commandment, thou shalt not steal. The eighth commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness or lie. The 10th commandment, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. Who's heard of these things before? You might have used a different version of the Bible, where you have a little bit of a different order, but that's the order in Exodus. I would tell you and submit to you this evening that this Proposition A, formerly known as the San Antonio Justice Policy, breaks every one of those commandments I just stated right then. Right then and there. It breaks the 5th commandment. It breaks the 7th commandment. It breaks the 8th commandment and the 10th commandment. Outright. Does it break the other commandments? I would tell you it does. Not as directly. It would be indirectly. It would circumvent it. Because if you're breaking the 5th commandment in thou shalt not kill, what did Danny Diaz tell you they sold this as? To decriminalize abortion. That has been a major focus on this issue. Now, San Antonio Family Association is adamantly for protecting each and every human being, born and preborn. Completely wrong. Otherwise, abortion's never solved any problem. But no matter where you stand on that, it breaks the 5th commandment because it will decriminalize abortion locally. What Danny Diaz didn't tell you of the San Antonio Police Officers Association, what he didn't tell you was that in this so-called justice policy on Proposition A, it also will criminalize if a San Antonio police officer decides on their own to uphold state law that outlaws abortion, and they do choose to investigate it, they can be prosecuted themselves. It's unconscionable. 7th commandment, thou shalt not steal. You may steal up to $750 per person per incident. Think of the women. Think of the young people. Their first jobs. Louis Barrios of Los Barrios Restaurants will tell you, 80% of the first jobs of young people in the city of San Antonio are doing what? Waiting tables. How many of those are young women? Hostesses, waiting tables as well. That means they can walk out. And if they're not escorted, or even they are escorted, they say they had a decent night. They came home with $200 that night in their pocket. They could be robbed. And nothing's going to happen. If she files a report, calls the police, they might cite and release. But according to this justice policy, nothing else is going to happen. So now you're breaking the seventh commandment right there. And what else might it lead to? Certainly, women already feel threatened walking out in a parking lot, dark parking lot, or after hours by themselves already without having to worry about this issue of being approached for money versus anything else. Think of all the different scenarios that could happen with this. This church right here, and thank you very much, Pastor, for letting us be here at this Christian church and the Spanish Christian church, right? Yes. That's right. And down in San Pedro, and I get a pleasure coming down here to St. John the Evangelist every weekday. And so, friends, hopefully you know Father Jean Baptiste. If not, we need to make that happen and introduce y'all. Because we're friends in Christ, friends in God. And let's say somebody come up here and they didn't like the fact that Miss Betty Eckert and OPTNA was having this meeting here and rejected it. And they vandalized and put graffiti on the walls of the church. Up to $2,500 per incident. Yes. No recourse. How do you think the people, the congregation, the people who tithe and give donations here will feel about that? Everybody's cost is going to go up. You go and have a nice meal downtown at Bohannon's. You walk the check. Up to $750 per person, per incident. Do you think their food costs are going to go up? Do you think they're going to have additional security? That's going to drive up the cost of everything. Do you think their insurance costs are going to have to go up? It will. Everything's going to have to go up. We're already facing inflation in record time, in record numbers right now. Think of how it's going to impact us here locally. It'll be outrageous. The seventh commandment, thou shalt not steal, we just covered. The eighth commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not lie. In this provision, it also allows somebody to create their own identification. You can create your own fake identification that does not tell you who you are and get away with it. That's lying. So I just want to go over these briefly on the ones that it outright breaks the commandments. The 10th commandment, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. Well, this is condoning and promoting lawlessness in the city of St. Anthony. Because if I like something that you have, and it's under $750, Home Depot, your house, Jack Finger has a nice lawnmower that he just got. I like it. I need a new. My lawnmower's over 20 years old. And Jack's not going to have anything he can do about it. That's the 10th commandment. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. Those right there in his essence overtly and directly break the 10 commandments. I will tell you, because lawlessness breeds and promotes lawlessness. Our own Archbishop today in a tweet about the shooting in Nashville said that sin will cause other sin to escalate. And that's right in that context, that sin promotes sin. If we're in a state of mortal sin, we're more likely to commit another sin because our conscience isn't working. It's not awake. It's dead. And what we need in this town is to be woken up. And so I did pull, I don't know if you've seen it yet or not, but I did pull today. It just came in. As a matter of fact, the city just released it. How many people have seen the ballot measure itself? So I printed off the ballot measure. It just came in to me this afternoon, earlier today. Actually, retired police officer David Moore sent it over to me. And he's also been out working, and I stand in his stead actually tonight. I don't want to read it real quickly, but you can see right here. This is how long it is. And let me get the other one. So it's 2 pages. It covers 2 pages.
And what is that?
This is the actual ballot measure language. This will be on the ballot. So it starts here, right here, it goes here, and it goes right here. So it's 1.5 columns, a little more than 1.5 columns on your ballot.
And if the other one's Spanish, they're the same.
And the other, this part's English and Spanish, sorry, thank you for that clarification. So that is English and Spanish in there, so it does take up more room, thank you. And, but you can see how long it is. So the English, just the English itself, does cover the first column and a half. So here and here is all English. So that's a long ballot measure for people to read. Do you think there's going to be some confusion in that? There will be. Even though, fortunately, and somebody asked earlier, I think it was you, ma'am, will the ballot language be clear? Is it yes means yes and no means no? And it does in this case, and that's good. But real briefly, I just want to share with you, shall the city charter be amended to include a justice policy under which the city of San Antonio will, quote, use its available resources and authority to accomplish 3 goals of paramount importance? I want to stop there. The San Antonio Family Association filed an amicus brief with the Supreme Court of Texas. And back in the last part of February, the Supreme Court came back on March 17th, my day, St. Patrick's Day. And unfortunately, it didn't contain the 3-leaf clover of the Holy Trinity. But it came back with bad news, saying that the majority was a 6-3 to vote by the Supreme Court. And several people in here were named in that amicus brief, along with myself and the San Antonio Family Association, along with Senator Donna Campbell, the local state reps John Lujan, Steve Allison, Mark Drazio, all signed it, saying that there's 2 major problems with Proposition A being on the ballot in May. Number 1, it's not a single issue item. By city charter, this is mandated to be a single issue item, and it's not. And I just read it to you right here. Use its available resources and authority to accomplish 3 goals of paramount importance. That in itself tells you it's not a single issue. And the city admits it by the language, because they're the ones that decide the language. Number 2, that Act for SA did not collect enough signatures, because it's not a single issue, did not collect enough signatures to be on the ballot as a single issue. They only collected 22,000 verifiable signatures. You need 20,000 per issue. And they didn't. They only had 22,000 verified thereabouts. So they had enough for the single issue. And the third issue was that the city missed its deadline to put it on the ballot. And there's some legalese in here, but the short of it is the city missed its deadline by 8 days to vote and put it into as a special election to put it on the May 6th ballot. The Supreme Court did acknowledge it, but they said we don't want to interrupt the political process. We want to let the political process go on and go out, and then there can be legal recourse afterwards, and they basically invite us to sue the city, which I can guarantee you, San Antonio Family Association will be suing the city the moment if it does pass. And these things I appreciate your applause because of the encouragement, but it's not good for the city. It costs the city money. San Antonio Family Association also sued the city of San Antonio over the banning of Chick-fil-A from the San Antonio airport. That costs taxpayers money. But there are certain times we have to draw a line in the sand and say we have to do this based on principle. Because we can't allow the city to infringe on our liberties, especially when they go against our Christian, deeply held religious values, convictions, deeply held religious convictions, whether you're Christian or not. Any business owner would be impacted by the removal of Chick-fil-A from the San Antonio airport. So everybody will be impacted by this. So we will be filing a lawsuit if it does pass, but we're going to leave it to each of us to go out and do our part to make sure it doesn't pass. The last part I want to share with you, the three main goals are here. To reduce the city's contribution to mass incarceration. Second, to mitigate racially discriminatory law enforcement practices. And third, to save scarce public resources for greater public needs. And to reduce unnecessary arrests and save scarce public resources through a comprehensive set of reforms. And that goes into those, what Danny Diaz already talked about. Very confusing for anybody if they haven't heard about it and haven't done the research. So thank you very much, Betty Eckert, for having me, and OPTNA for allowing this to happen and for the education to happen. Yes, sir.
Quick question. I need a fundamental issue here. If all of the things are true, which we can hear it, and I totally believe them, why is the city endorsing this?
City has not endorsed it.
You said it's their language. They wrote it.
Yes, they did write the language.
They thought of the idea.
I'm sure Councilman Bravo will have a chance to speak and he can address that, but I will tell you from our perspective, the city did condone it because there was 10 councilmen present, well, 1 mayor, 9 councilmen present the day of the vote on February 16th. Anna Sandoval from District... Yes, Anna Sandoval from District 7 had already resigned. They had not filled her position yet. So there were 9 councilmen and 1 mayor. And the vote was 7-0 to 3. 7-0 to 3 for it. 7 for it, including Councilman Bravo, including the mayor. Districts 1 through 6 all voted for it, and Councilman and the mayor. That's 7. Districts 8, 9, and 10 walked the vote, meaning as soon as the vote was called, all 3 of them got up and walked out. And that's, you need to ask them about and hold them accountable. That would be Manny Pelaez in District 8, John Courage in District 9, and Clayton Perry in District 10.
Okay, let me ask you, why do you think the city endorses it?
Okay, real quick, because I know Betty's on time. Real quick.
I'm going to ask them.
So 7-0-3.
What you think?
The city condoned it because I would tell you in a conversation with the city clerk as well, that they believe they were doing their duty because they came with the petitions, the 22,000 verified signatures. All they have an obligation to put it on the ballot. They're not deciding whether or not it's legal or not to put it on the ballot. Because I can tell you, even Anna Segovia says these aren't even enforceable, and most of them. So, in my opinion, they kicked the can down the road, just like the Supreme Court did. I'm not going to hold any different. The Supreme Court didn't uphold the law either, because the law is very black letter law that this should not be on the May 6th ballot. And they even say it in the minority opinion on the Supreme Court, which you can find at the San Antonio Family Association's website. The minority opinion is very clear that they would never interrupt the political process of a petition except if it was illegal to be put on the ballot under that. And the city missed its date. And I won't go into those technicalities, but they missed their date. So it's procedural. So you could argue that they condone it because they put it on the ballot, because it's certainly unconstitutional and illegal. But they would not admit to that. And they would say they're doing their duty, that they had to put it on the ballot because they had the Act for SA came with 22,000 signatures. It's a single issue, and they were obligated to put it on the ballot. That's what they would say. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. We'll have Patrick come back at another time and before this election, and then you can ask all the questions you want to. We've got a couple more things on the agenda, and so we need to move forward. If the president of the association, Lisa, is Celeste here from Northmore? Celeste, if you come up here and sit at the front table, and we're going to go over the rapid transit.
Ms. Eckert,
Also,
I have a major question. This is one side of the issue. In the interest of fair play, I would like to...
I can't hear anything you're saying.
This is one side of the issue. In the interest of fair play, I would like to see the proponents of Proposition A present their presentation.
We will invite them when Patrick comes back. We'll invite the other side. Thank you for the information. We did have someone from my neighborhood, a board member, suggest that, but we just felt like it would be too lengthy. And besides, I didn't have a contact, to be quite frank with you. I'm not in contact with the people that wrote this, and they certainly didn't get in contact with me, and they knew what I was getting ready to do. So, it's just one of the things. No more questions right now.
A point of order, please. A point of order. Can we take a vote on who wants to hear the other side? That's a point of order for the vote.
We'll bring that up at a meeting.
Can we take a vote now?
No, we're not going to take a vote
That's a
now.
point of order, because we have unfinished business.
No, we're not taking a vote
We
now.
don't want unfinished business.
We're not voting on anything pertaining to this now. We're not voting on whether we're voting on it or anything pertaining to that. Thank you very much.
Chair Hills.
Is Celeste here?
Celeste is up there.
Oh, good. Okay.
And
Oh,
then
there's Patty Gibbons. Patty Gibbons needs to come up there.
Yeah, Patty, and then also Lydia. Lydia's here.
We're going to have to do this a little bit quickly, but this is a very important issue. If somebody needs an agenda, by the way, the agendas are sitting on this
You
table.
don't have to pull them out of the jail.
My secretary didn't pass those out and everything
That white
to
Christian
anybody.
nationalist conversation speech.
And I'm going to have the microphone so they can talk. And what this is about is going to tell you a little bit about what Bia's getting ready to do. on San Pedro and the 11-mile corridor. And I have a few words to say about it after these 3 or 4 associations. There's Lydia. Okay, first, sitting up here, we do have Patty Gibbons, who is the president of the Greater Harmony Hills Neighborhood Association. We're so proud to have her. Sitting next to her is Lydia Rodriguez, who is the president of the North Sheriff Hills Neighborhood Association. And then we have Celeste, who is just across the street from my neighborhood, and she is the president of the Northmore Neighborhood Association. Sitting next to her, we have Lisa Talley, who is the president of the North Central Neighborhood Association. So each one of them are going to tell you a little bit about what they have found out about via rapid transit. We have had 3 meetings in this neighborhood in Almond Park Terrace with VIA. We have attended 2 meetings, their board meetings, at the downtown office. We then, after that, had an additional meeting to bring our councilman up to date on what was going on in a transportation area with VIA. And so we have had a total of 6 meetings. We have yet to see the maps of what neighborhood that this will affect from this side of town to Highland Hills. So we really don't know where they're going. We're hoping that VIA will give us that opportunity. But anyway, let me turn it over to these girls here. I'm going to turn it over to Lisa first, or shall I turn it over to Patty? Turn it over to Patty. Patty, you want to get over here? Now I'm going to step aside.
Hello everybody, I'm Patty Gibbons with the Greater Harmony Hills Neighborhood Association. And we're the new kids on the block here in District 1. We just got redistricted out of D9 into D1, so, but we are right on the edge of San Pedro, North Star Mall, and the beginnings of the VIA Transit that will be coming on down San Pedro. And we were involved in this meeting when they had it a year and a half ago, I believe, some of the meetings that they were starting. But the biggest concern that I have found, and I think you all are going to address maybe more the road hazard that it causes, and that is a concern. But the big concern that I have is that VIA seems to have, if Betty wants to say she's deaf, VIA is deafer. That's a word. Because they just really are not paying any attention to anything all of us have been saying for the past year and a half or 2 years on this enormous change of not just road work, but how you and I will have to think of how we drive down a road. To pause at a light and wait for the bus to go first so it crosses over in front of you so that it can pick up. Nobody knows that. That's not normal. And that's what's going to be introduced on San Pedro, starting North Star Mall going towards south, yeah. So my concern, and I said this to VIA, is y'all are not listening. We're talking and nobody is paying any attention. You don't answer our questions. You don't show up at meetings, or when you do show up at meetings, it's a very placating type mentality that they bring. And I find that a little bit unusual. Right now, Greater Harmony Hills is involved in one of the planning advisory groups for the airport area with the planning department. And we have meetings monthly. They could be 2 hours long with the planning department. And it's weird stuff, and it's like, okay, we don't understand what you're doing, but they are talking, and they do dialogue with every one of us neighbors and ask us, well, what do you think about parking lots? What do you think about bike share? What do you think? And so we give all kinds of good input on how it affects our neighborhoods if you're going to come in and change road work, but not VIA. VIA doesn't do that at all. And VIA is not necessarily city-owned. It's really you own it. When you voted that charter amendment to change the sales tax from 1/8% that went to protect the aquifer, Now, all of a sudden, it's gone to Via. And that will go into perpetuity in a couple of years here. So they have tons and tons of money, and this is what happens when people get way too much money, they get way too much power, and they don't really need to listen to you. They could show up, but they don't need to listen. So I appreciate Betty continuing to push us along and to advocate for us so that we can continue to talk to Via and tell us, you've got to talk to us and tell us what's going on. Recently, they put in some new bus stops along Blanco, which goes right down Greater Harmony Hills if you're at 410 going north on Blanco. And all of a sudden, they show up and they're putting in bus stops and they're telling us we're just refurbishing. We said, no, we never had a bus stop there. And did you even talk to us of how much of a hazard it's going to be? And because we all know our neighborhoods and we all know how the rhythm of how we drive and how we walk and how we move in our neighborhoods. But Via doesn't do that. And that is the biggest detriment and that I see happening. So I know as together as we continue to mention and speak up to Via and let them know you've got to start talking to us. I don't think it's going to shut down these projects when you got that much money, but I think it could have helped to recreate something that really works for all of us.
Thank you.
Sure, a real quick experience.
I think that Eric wants to get to this.
Hello, I'm Lisa Talley. I'm the president of North Central Neighborhood Association. I'm down more towards Lee, West Avenue, Roy Vista area. And so this is what it will look like. I don't know if y'all can see this, but what they want to do is take the middle of San Pedro, at least 3, maybe 4 lanes in the middle, and have this little median, and the lanes for the buses. There'll be special lanes for the buses, and then the median will be where people get on and off the buses at certain stops. So they're going to have where you'll go down San Pedro, and you'll go down San Pedro, and you won't be able to make a left-hand turn into certain businesses. You'll have to go down further, and then you got to turn around and come back. So you won't be able to just go and say, oh, I want to turn in here. This median thing with all the buses is going to be in the way. So you'll have to go further up, turn around, and come back to go to that business. I think that's going to be detrimental to the businesses because people may not feel like doing that. You're going to have people getting off of the buses and crossing San Pedro. It's going to take San Pedro at its biggest part down to 2 lanes this way and 2 lanes this way.
No, one lane.
One lane each way.
Past Bassy. Because the median will be.
Closer to 410, it's wider. So they say they're taking up the inside 3 lanes. We'll still have 2 on either side.
But Bassy South.
But once you get where it gets more narrow, yeah, I don't even know how they'll do it down by Hildebrand. They're going all the way down there. Yeah, so I don't even know how they're going to get that bus under that bridge. But if you come out of your neighborhood, you're going to be forced to make a right-hand turn.
Yeah.
And as Betty brought up, if it's flooding, you're not going to want to take a right-hand turn and go further into the floodwaters. I mean, you're going to need to evacuate. It's going to create a headache for traffic. It's going to be detrimental to the businesses. And during construction, as we've already seen in the city of San Antonio, when they hire people that don't really do a good job, and it takes them forever to do whatever they're doing in the middle of San Pedro, these businesses are going to be affected because now you got construction all in front of your business, and people are really not going to go in there. And the city's already shelling out money to other businesses in other parts of the town to make up for the business they lost. It's not a good idea. We have enough buses going up and down San Pedro, so I'm going to stop it as best I can.
I feel the same way that I said to myself today. There's no mistake. We have to stop this. My small, short little talk is kind of directed at Via. And my question, I start off by saying, why do you want to put our bus drivers in danger? The waiting area, I don't even know, it seems to me that it's gonna be too small. And I'm worried about it because a lot of, not only seniors, but a lot of the people that ride the bus, many of them don't drive anymore, or for some reason, a special need of sorts, they are not unable to ride, so the only thing they can do is go on the bus. I know there's other measures that they can use, but this is probably the easiest, so we don't have to make a reservation. Well, the waiting area, to me, seems quite small. And you know, a lot of people are in a chair, and to get onto that little island, or whatever you call it, it seems to me like it would be kind of difficult for them. Some use walkers and canes and whatever you need to get to the place where you want to get. Now, will bus riders move fast enough to get to the waiting platform before it's hit by a fast car driver? People drive very fast on San Pedro. I mean, when I try to get out of HEB, I go around the block so that I don't have to cross all those lanes on Able. And, you know, just to stay safe. Many people have some limitations, but having to ride the bus should not mean putting their life in danger. And the bottom line is, we love our bus riders, and we do not want for anyone to get hurt just because they need to ride the bus. Some people do their grocery shopping and then must ride the bus. Can you imagine you're trying to get to the bus with your groceries and cars zooming by you? We feel that this is an neo-conceived plan that needs to go to a neighborhood that welcomes it. Thank you. Or a lot of changes would have to be made to it so that it would be, that we could live with it. But right now, there are just too many things. And it seems to me that the people that are going to be hurt the most are people that have, like I say, special needs and seniors. Thank you very much.
loudly and clearly? No? Okay. All right. Okay. So my name is Celeste, and I am the president of the Northmore Association. Becky. Okay. Betty actually asked me to come out because I'm a little more in depth of the arts program, unfortunately and fortunately. So I've been battling this since July of 2021 when they first came out and their schematic was 15%. They had just thrown lines on a map and said, here you go, this is what we're bringing, right? So what they did was they put it on the ballot back in March, I think, or I believe it was March.
November 2020.
And they threw it out as a broad net saying, hey, we want to improve transit. Absolutely.
They were going to maybe do a drawing.
And then what did they say? Nothing. They just said, hey, we want to improve transit in San Antonio. Yes, let's do it. Everybody was like, gung-ho. What they didn't say is where. So they came in with the 11.7-mile corridor down from Isom all the way up down to Steve's. What they didn't tell you was that, hey, we're going to come in and we're going to take San Pedro from a 5-lane corridor, which is an arterial, their language, it's an arterial road, which means it carries a lot of traffic. It's 5 lanes, 7 lanes north of Bassett, 3 northbound, 3 southbound, center, median, right, left, you can turn right, or left, right?
Groceries and gasoline go up and down that road all the time.
Right, a lot of freight. What they didn't tell you is that they're going to take all 3 center lanes away from all of us commuters. They're going to take the center lane, they're going to put a raised median, so that means you can't go across. You can't make a right turn, you can't make a left turn, right? And they're going to put the buses in the middle. What they didn't tell you is they had planned already for buses to have a right entrance. I'm sorry, a left entrance. Right now they pull off, you get on the right-hand side, I'm sorry, can you hear me? On the right-hand side, correct? You load up, get in the bus. What they didn't tell you is that they're going to put it in the middle. So they have to go buy buses and put them, so those primo buses that you guys see, that's what's going to be coming down San Pedro. They did not tell you that. The other thing they did not tell you was that they were going to environmental clearance. That means they went up and down this corridor. They had 8 meetings. At all 8 meetings, A lot of neighborhoods said, no, we don't want it. We don't want it because we are an elderly neighborhood. Between Bassey and Hildebrand, all the way into town, downtown. A lot of elderly. And when we post to them, safety, what about our SAPD, our fire department, our EMS? How are they going to get into the neighborhood if you put a median? Right? Oh, they can jump curbs. That's exactly what Diaz said. Tammy Horn was the person who said they can jump the curb in an emergency. I met with them. I have John Herrera, Leroy Alloway, Eloy Lackett, the resident engineer who has already changed several times. They're public involvement specialists that have been changing over the years. I met with each and every one of them. And I told them, when is our no enough? You remember that comment at our meeting? I said, when is our no enough? It's never enough. They're like, no, we're going to go ahead and do it anyway, right? Their traffic analysis report came out at that meeting. They said it was 5,000 pages. Right? Who wants to look through 5,000 pages? This person. And you know what they told me? Right here in the analysis report? That all intersections are above a D level service. Level of service. Only 2 failed. And yet that's what's driving this. 2 intersections failed with level of service. And that's what they're saying. And I asked them, what's driving this? Oh, the traffic report. The traffic analysis is driving the reasoning or the improvement of this corridor, right? That's what they say. How is that? They say it. They have 59 signalized intersections. Now, I'm sorry, this gets me all riled up. They're going to add 1 intersection. You know where that's going to go? El Monte. So now we're going from 59 signalized intersections with a level of service of D or better. Level of service D or better. Only 1 signalized intersection is expected to operate at a level of service E, and that's below standards, right? Only 1? So, only 1. And that's at AM peak hours. And what is their peak hours? Well, let's see. They did 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning, Monday through Friday. 4 to 6, Monday through Friday in the afternoon. In total, 15-minute intersections, or I'm sorry, increments. And yet only 2 failed, and they're saying that we need to do this because it's so great for us. But they're not telling you that they're impeding your way of life. You can't turn right if you're going to go up San Pedro. You got to go left, and you got to go all the way to the next signalized intersection. Hope you can make a turnaround to go north or south. The other thing they're not telling you is the level of traffic that's going to increase into your neighborhoods. How's that going to look? How many of you have only 1 road that goes north to south apart from McCullough and San Pedro? San Pedro and Blanco. How much traffic are you going to have in your neighborhoods? When they had the fiasco of let's redo the corridor and put the buses into the neighborhood, that was a big fiasco. How many of you still have messed up streets?
Yes.
When they did the road in San Pedro, how many of you still have messed up streets? When we put that to them, are y'all going to help us? Is the city going to be coordinating with you to improve our neighborhood streets? Oh, no. We don't do that. Oh, no. We don't do that. When the city came in and redid all the platforms, did you know they did that? No. How about when they narrowed the bridge north of Bassey? Oh, well, we didn't know that either. Ah, yes, exactly. You don't know that because you're not keeping up with it. But we know because we live here. We drive through here. We tell you, you don't listen. We're always telling you no, and you don't listen. So when is enough enough? And we asked you that. And we asked via that. And you know what they say? Well, the environmental clearance comes out and it's up to them. But we've already chased federal funding. Where does that leave? Federal funding.
They've already got some
They
funding.
get money.
They're chasing federal funding, yes.
They're still getting it, they don't have it.
They've secured some, but I don't know the amount. So again, for those of you who live south of Olmos or Hildebrand, you have only 5 lanes. No, 4 lanes, I'm sorry, 4 lanes, correct? Here's their solution to that. If you coming down San Pedro, southbound, you get to Olmos, it narrows, correct? The buses are gonna go from the center median to the outside. How is that gonna work? Because when I asked Mr. Herrera, I said, wait a minute, sir. You just told me that you're moving the buses north of Basse, north of Hildebrand, all in the center, correct? Where is the door for the buses? If you're riding in the center. On the left, right? You gotta get on the left.
So people have to cross the lane of traffic to get on the bus now?
Yes.
So yes, they're gonna cross the center. But here's the best part to all of this. When I asked him, what is the transition between the Hildebrand, at the Hildebrand intersection? They're gonna have the buses cross over to the right. That means the bus has to have both a right entrance and a left entrance. Because if you're getting on the left, coming in from Isom all the way down to that Hildebrand, and then you're going to have to get off at, let's say, SAC, right? You're getting off at SAC. I'm riding the bus. I got to get on. I'm getting on the left. Sit down. I get to San Pedro. What happens? Or to Hildebrand. What happens at Hildebrand? The bus crosses the lane. So now I have to figure out, how do I get off? Because now the bus stops are on the right. But I got one on the left. And you know what he said? We're not sure what you're talking about. Oh, but you have it in your report saying that you're going to have that intersection signalized for the bus lane to leave prior to regular traffic so they can cut across. Oh, now I have to compete with the bus at Hildebrand to go from the inside to the outside? How does that work, yeah? How is that even functional? How is that safety? How does that work? It doesn't. But do they listen? No. And we keep telling them, no. When is our no enough? Because it's a safety issue. It's a traffic issue. Major traffic issue. No, it's not. You know what their report says? That it only increases the functionality by a few cars. And I'm not talking about double digits. I'm not talking about double digits. That stack right there. I went through all 5,000 pages, and I pulled every intersection between Basse and Hildebrand. And you're lucky if there's 108 cars that turned or went through the intersection, and then, now there's 14 and there's 15 to 16. Oh, and it only increased 1 car from your proposed 2019 traffic to 2027? That's a big gap. Their crash data is on there as well. So me, because I've been in this for a long time, I'm holding them to that because they said the traffic analysis report was the driving force for this corridor. But if you only have from 2019, your baseline, to 2027 goal, that's when they want to build it, 2027, you're only having a functionality of maybe 3 cars. How is that even feasible? How is that even appropriate? How is that? How many times do we have to say that?
And they're saying how many?
And I did it. I went through all 5,000 pages.
And they're saying how many people are on there? They're saying that there's thousands of people waiting for the bus in San Pedro.
It's like that garage
Yeah.
on Stono.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's all my information.
El Monte.
Yes.
I live on El Monte.
Yes.
So let me ask you. You said that there was one. They're gonna use. What is a signalizing?
So those were
They're gonna put a light right there.
Yes.
A traffic light.
So
That's gonna be that's gonna be your exit to in and out of the neighborhood.
So
But your left and right
El
turn.
Monte, where I live in the 200 block of El Monte.
So
Yes.
So recently, just recently, they sideswiped us in the face, they wanted to put sidewalks.
Yes.
Without even any kind of notice.
Yeah.
So they were gonna, and Mr. Bravo knows,
I
this. Our street was in an uproar. Without them even mentioning to us that they were gonna put sidewalks.
Correct.
They just came and they started marking every, so the reason I'm bringing this up, because now I know that they needed accessibility, and that's the way they put it. And you know that, Mr. Bob, because we contacted your office, and there's like, but they were using that, probably preparing for the project, maybe, it had gotten, I don't know.
The city came in and they decided, hey, we're gonna do this for our, handicap, for accessibility, yes, but it's for, special needs accessibility.
Yeah, and this had nothing to do with the
No.
project coming up with
Not yet,
Dia?
no, sir.
Not yet?
No.
But what you said is
What
they're
they're
gonna
gonna,
put
because of that prompted, and our response to, there's not, you're taking out a lot of people going north and south out of the neighborhoods. So we gave them that comment out of thousands of comments that we provided. They took that one comment and decided, hey, we're gonna go ahead and add a signalized intersection to here, because you're right. That will help. How does that help? So a signalized intersection is everything that you see right out here, like Wildwood, at Fresno, where you have the red, the green, the protected, left turn lane. So that's what that is. So that's a signalized intersection. They're adding that to El Monte. That would be their one signalized intersection they're adding in that whole corridor. So in 11.5 miles that they said they only got from the city, they said they got, let me make sure here.
So the traffic coming out of El Monte would have to travel north?
They will have full access to the intersection.
Go right
Go
on.
north and south?
Yes. If everybody like on La Manda, on Hermine.
Would have to go north?
We'll have
No,
to
we'll
take-
have to go to El Monte to turn.
We'll have
So
to
like
go-
you live on El Monte and I live on Rivera, the next street. So let's just say I have to get out of my
So
neighborhood.
if somebody wants to go north or south?
I have
they
to go
hit
through
El
your,
Monte first.
I have to go through your neighborhood to
my
El Monte,
street.
to the street, to the,
My street.
and take left or right.
It's a signalized intersection.
Correct.
Just like,
Yeah, yes, okay.
Betty says no more questions, but I am available. If you want to have, and if you have any questions, I will be in the back. Come get me or out.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh,
Thank
no,
you,
you're fine,
ma'am.
you're fine.
No, that's
Because
fine.
I have a lot of knowledge, and it's like, Councilman Bravo probably looks at me like,
Thank you. How about an applause for Sled? She's doing a terrific job. We will have, there's no more questions right now, please. We do have a few.
A point of order, I'd like to make a comment about that discussion. May I please do so?
We are going to have another meeting pertaining to this.
I'd like to make.
We will be bringing VIA back into it. We're going to insist that they show us the map. There could be some eminent domain. There's other things that are involved. We're going to make sure that whoever is our council person is well briefed on our neighborhood. So I want to thank the presidents for being here tonight. Do we have any candidates here tonight other than we do have our councilman? And do we have any candidates? If the candidates will come forward to the table up here right quick, we said that we would give you a minute to come at least introduce yourself regardless of what you're running for. Councilman Bravo, how about joining us? You're sort of a candidate too. You can take these chairs. Let's take these chairs up here in the front. Please. Well, Councilman's gonna sit over there. I did think there would be a few more candidates just coming to,
Betty, were you asking me to step on here?
yeah, get over here. Get in my spot right there. Is there any more candidates here? Okay, what we're gonna do is let them introduce themselves just for a couple of minutes. They're not gonna answer questions. This is not a candidate forum. And I do have a lot of announcements to make right after this, so if you just give them the opportunity. They've sat through all this all evening, but they should have been first instead of last, actually, because this is the next thing we're getting ready to do, is elect our representatives. So, without further ado, I know that Councilman Bravo is running for District 1, so I'm going to turn it over to Councilman Bravo to speak first and introduce himself. If you don't know him, well, you will before you leave here. So just a minute.
Thank you, Betty. My name is Marty Bravo. I'm the City Councilman for District 1. I have served for almost 2 years now. I'm very grateful for the honor and the opportunity, and I pride myself in being accessible and having a balanced approach. And so I would like to ask your support, or like to earn your support for another term. I do have to address a couple of things because San Antonio Police Officer Association President Danny Diaz was just here, and I feel very strongly that he misrepresented a few things, and I want to clarify those, right? So one thing he said was that I was not, I don't want to put words in his mouth. I'm not sure exactly what he said, because I don't appreciate when people put words in my mouth. But I believe I heard him say something to the effect that I was avoiding him as a council member. And I will admit that I did get a text message from him right after I was elected. Now, I had not even been sworn into office yet. He texted me, he texted me, I think the day I was elected, that I won my election, and asked for a meeting. And I said I would be happy to meet with you anytime. And then he texted me again on Monday. So I got elected on Saturday. He texted me on a Monday with some proposed dates, and I dropped the ball. I did, right? I was getting hundreds of text messages. I had just won an election, and I didn't respond to that. I dropped it. Well, let me just clarify the record real quick, if you don't mind. So, no. This is important.
We're not having a debate here.
I know, but I have to clarify the record, Betty. Please, just let me get real quick. So then I got an email, actually, because he said that I avoided him. And I have an email on February 21st where I sent an email to my secretary, and I said, can you please set up a meeting for me with the vice president of the San Antonio Police Officers Association? That was me initiating. Then I also have where, he said I never worked with them to distribute backpacks with school supplies. And I actually, if you give me 1 second, I have pictures of me at Margill Elementary delivering backpacks with school supplies with the San Antonio Police Officers Association group, Blue Cares. Blue Cares is SAPOA's community outreach group, right? So I feel like Danny Diaz is maybe, I don't know, I feel like he just is mistaking me for somebody else. So I think that he and I actually share some values, right? So I can tell you that I helped break ground at the new police substation that we have here in District 1 on North St. Mary's Street. And it's going to have 28 new police officers. So I do care about public safety. I actually reached out to Danny Diaz not too long ago, and I said, can we have a meeting? And, he talks about how I wanted him to help to arrest the homeless individuals. That's not true. I've always maintained that homelessness is not a crime. Breaking a crime is breaking a crime, and so you should be held accountable whether or not you're homeless or not. And so what I did is I met with him because I've heard from a lot of you all about crime houses. Homes in your neighborhood maybe where a lot of crime activity is occurring out of. And how do we go and shut those down? Because they're putting drugs on the street. Yep. To wrap up my statements.
To get up there, yes, and tell us something you plan to do.
I plan to focus.
This was not a debate.
I understand, but somebody came and misrepresented a lot of things.
He was misrepresented. If he feels that way,
Okay.
that's fine.
Let me pivot to what you're asking me to do, Betty.
I'm going to introduce the next candidate.
All right.
Now for District 1.
Do you want me to tell you what I'm going to do in the next term?
Yes. All your name and something you're going to do.
You got it. Okay, I'm going to focus on quality of life, preserving quality of life in our neighborhoods. That means, safety. That means access to green spaces. That means, safe opportunities to be able to, have access to your schools, your public spaces, making walkable neighborhoods. That's what I'm going to be focused on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Ernest?
Thank you, Betty. My name is Ernest Salinas, and I am the former president for the Delby Area Neighborhood Association. What I'm going to continue to do is work with SAPOA. I'm going to continue working with Blue Cares, SAPOA's outreach program, and I want to do exactly what's not happening. Nobody's listening to us. And that's exactly right. Because when people don't listen to me, I just take it straight to the department, the COSA department. So going forward, I'm going to continue building bridges. I'm going to start knocking down doors if they don't listen. And we're going to get the taxpayers' money not wasted. That's my plan.
All right. It's over.
This is a picture of me with Blue Cares distributing school supplies.
Oh.
We got it.
Yeah. He protested too much.
Thank you, Betty. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Christopher Longoria, and I'm running for mayor. Thank you. One thing you need to do is get out and vote. We need to change the city government. It needs to be changed right away. 70% human trafficking. 70%. 45% homicides up. Is this what we need for a city? Do we want this? So how are we going to change it? Well, one way is to increase the police officers by 300 men and women. We'd like more, at least 1,400 more, but we can't afford that right now. It's going to come out over time. But that's what I'm proposing for the safety of the city. That's the main focus of my campaign is crime. 12-year-old girls being shot. Men being killed by dogs. People shooting each other everywhere. And where's the city? Where's the council? Where are they? What are they doing? So, my name is Christopher Longoria. I hope you vote for me. Vote for change. Thank you.
How's everybody doing today?
I'm sorry, Michael, I ain't sorry. I apologize.
Okay, so you going?
You sound different.
Okay, I don't want to get
Dressed different.
Okay, how's everybody doing today?
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, well, the good thing this time is that we have plenty of people on the ballot to choose from.
Your name, please?
I'm about to tell you. Yeah, my name is Michael Samaniego. Running for mayor also. I'm going to be going by Sergeant Sam. Sam is easy. I've been called Sam for last 30 years, I guess, because they can't pronounce my last name. So, Sam it is. But we need a change. All this is happening right here. The young lady was talking about the via, and everything happening has already been planned years and years and years ago, which is why no one's changing their mind. No one's listening.
Right.
This has been planned for years. I said the last time I came up, not interested in, let me rephrase that, not that I'm not interested, but I'm not going just after cutting your taxes or reducing crime. If you go after the root and you cut the root off, you're going to kill the weed. That will fix most of your taxes, most of the crime, most of the homelessness, and hopefully fix some of this stuff. Do we understand what this is doing? This is creating a safe city. One of those safe cities where there's no one walking around. No people, no nothing. That's what that's for.
Right,
Yeah,
and that's
we're
why
just-
VIA is very,
We're just in the stages of it.
because it's not a city project, and it's not a state project. It's a privately funded project. That's why when they came out in 2020 with it, and then they decided to bring it to the people in 2021, that's why we can actually push back.
Correct.
If it was a state project, it would be 10 years in the making, or 15, depending on what corridor you're looking at. So,
You're talking about the VIA, it's
the
privately
VIA
funded.
is privately funded and federally funded.
Correct. So yeah, this is much bigger than just San Antonio, and a lot of things are stemming from San Antonio. And again, if we don't go after the root, nothing's gonna change. Doesn't matter who's in the office. You pick anybody's office, doesn't matter. If we don't go after the root, nothing's gonna change.
Tell us
So,
about
ma'am,
your experience.
My experience already. Well, I have 23 years in the military. Retired Air Force Master Sergeant. Been on 14 deployments, so I do worry about safety. I know I hear some people say, I don't know how you can run a city if you can't build something. I don't know how you can run a city and not protect her.
Very true.
So, but who is? Sergeant Sam, please, get your motion or your help. Thank you.
Thank you to all the candidates. We wish them all luck. We got just a couple more reports. Don't leave, candidates. We're almost through. You're almost getting out. Just sit up front. Let people see you. We want you to be voted for. Voted on. All of you. Our next, since where's my vice chair? He couldn't help me read this agenda, and he put it so small that I can't read it. Because I'm gonna make some announcements, but the next thing, I think we have our code compliance officer and our partner. Is Yvonne here?
Yvonne is here, yes.
Yvonne is here, okay, is our code compliance officer. Okay, would code come give us a briefing? Our police department had to leave. They did have things to do. They were on our program they have something that they were gonna bring to us, but they'll do it later. So, code?
They can hear me. No.
No, we can't.
I can't hear.
Hello, I'm Officer Gutierrez with Code Compliance. I'm Betty Eckert, Code Officer, Northmore Neighborhood Association. If y'all don't want to turn in any complaints right now, I'll be here after the meeting. You can call me, even though I'm not in your area, you can call me and I'll address any issues you might have. Outside placement, high weeds, front yard parking, a vacant house, a vacant lot, whatever your concern might be, feel free to talk to me and I'll take care of it.
Your name one more time, please.
Lupe Guerrero. Last name, Guerrero.
R-E-R-O.
A lot of R's. Guerrero.
Your first name?
L-U-P.
How do you spell Lupe?
L-U-P-E. And my work number is 210-416-5984. 5984. In case y'all forget my name, feel free to call 311, District 1 Code Officer. Everybody has an area. We will be there addressing any issues you guys might have.
We can't fake.
I'll be here after the meeting in case you want to turn in any addresses to me. Thank you.
You got a good aunt?
If they want to email. 311, customer service at SanAntonio and Betty.
If you have the app, and you have the
Yeah, but if you have an Android phone, it doesn't work.
Yes, it does. It's back up. It's back up.
We have.
Back up. Yeah, plug that in. It just came up last night.
We have the best code compliance department.
Yes, we do.
In San Antonio, not just this officer, but these people are doing a lot of work that you people don't know about. They are out in our neighborhoods. CPS doesn't check our meters no more. The water department doesn't check our water no more, so we don't have them in our neighborhood. But we have code compliance. And for me, this officer over here has been, I can't say enough nice thank you. I have a special gift for her. I will be giving to her later. I'll ask the city later if I can give it to her. She came to our meeting. We had a Dollar Trader. She literally went out into the neighborhoods and helped them load the garbage in my neighborhood in Kenwood. I couldn't believe it. On that day, she lost a ring. She lost part of her diamond ring. Later, she'll be presented with one, I will guarantee you. I can't say enough thank yous for the code department being part of, actually, the police department, because they are. They're watching our neighborhoods. So be sure you thank your code compliance officer. When you see them, thank them. Invite them to your meeting. Get to know them. We will be having another meeting on with VIA. But we're going to wait till after the election. We've got an election going. The most important thing we can do is elect a representative. So you will all be invited back. You will be allowed. We will see the map. And we are considering doing a petition. We'll see where we go with that. There was a number of people who were not here tonight that is interested in doing this. And maybe we might have to put it on the November ballot. So we'll see where that goes. I'm not promising that, but we're working on it. A number of neighborhoods are working on it. A lot of us are unhappy, and we do know that there will be some eminent domain. Now they're saying only a foot. Well, now if you believe that, well, I've got a bridge going over my neighborhood that goes to downtown. And so it's not going to happen. It won't be just a foot. We live in a historic area down here, and I have lived here all my life in this area. I was born here, and in the 30s, I walked to school from a dirt road back here where these houses were built. So all my life I have lived in this area. I have an invested interest in what goes on. Okay, without further ado, I want to thank the candidates that did come. I'm sorry that you didn't get more time. Councilman, we appreciate you, although I give him a hard time all the time. He loves me. He doesn't really hate me.
True.
And Frank, where are you? You want to come help me make sure that I announce we've got a number of meetings coming up. And I've got some agendas here that we can pass out to those who would like to have a copy. So where are the meetings?
Meetings here.
Okay,
District 1, Candidate 1.
oh, wait a minute. There we go again. See, you guys aren't helping me. Where's my secretary? Let's have our garden report. Let's have something really happy tonight. Where's our gardener? We just signed a 3-year lease with the city to maintain the Triangle Park, which is a garden, and Yvonne, as we have asked her to continue to be our garden manager. We're very proud of that area. We'll be having some meetings there. You will love it there out in our garden. So just a minute, let me let Yvonne tell you what we're going to do in the park.
Okay, real quick, because I know it's getting late, everybody's ready to get home. We are going to be having a meeting in the next few weeks to talk about what needs to be done in the garden over the coming planting season in spring. We did have some things that died in the freeze. If you are interested in participating, the Almost Park Terrace Community Garden has a Facebook group. It's a private, closed Facebook group. You can ask to join, and that way you'll see announcements about when we're going to have a meeting. We're also going to be looking at what needs to be planted. We did have some things that died that will need to be planted. And we also have gotten money from Green Spaces Alliance, which is our sponsor organization, to put up a notice board, so we'll have a place to post notices. So in the last cycle, I bought the notice board. It's a metal cabinet with lockable glass doors. And now I need to get somebody who can construct a wooden enclosure for it with a little roof that will protect that case. And then we'll have a place to post meeting notices if you don't want to be online to look at them. So that's one of the things that's coming. It's partway here. They are going to give us money for it. I went to a meeting. Green Spaces Alliance has a quarterly meeting. I went to that. It was very interesting. I got some seeds for the garden. So weeding, watering, trimming back frozen plants, encouraging things that survive to continue to grow. Yes. That's kind of what's coming up, and anybody who wants to help, I would appreciate it. I'm retired, I do travel some, so I'm not always on site like it would be ideal. So I love volunteers. Thank you.
Thank you, John. The other thing is our notices of our meeting. The first thing that's going to happen is going to be a District 1 candidate forum on April 1st. And it is going to be at the Laurel Heights Methodist Church on Woodlawn. From 1 to 3. I do have a few agendas up here, Jerry, if you want to, on the table. I think we've got about 20 of them we can share, and they have these meeting notices in case somebody wants one. The next candidate forum will be on the 13th, and we will be doing it at Greater Harmony Hills Neighborhood Association. And it will be from 6:30 to 8 p.m. 6 o'clock, okay. Okay, Frank, you put 6:30. It's 7233 Blanco Road. The next candidate forum, there's going to be 3 candidate forums in District 1. The next forum will take place on the 22nd of April at 9 a.m. in Delview Park, in the Delview neighborhood. You've got 3 District 1 candidate forums. On the 27th of April, we will have Fiesta Senior Day at Wonderland Mall from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Remember, I just told you, I'm a commissioner on the Joint Commission of Elderly Affairs. There will be over 100 different tables and venues out there and information that you can find out. If you've got a senior, take them. Be sure you go. Please get the information. On early voting, I would have left that up to my secretary here to talk about early voting. The early voting is April 24th through May 2nd. The election day is May 6th. Now,
For the 28th, there's no voting on this great day. There's no voting on Sunday.
Edison High School will have a meeting on April 5th on the bond, and you will have it at Edison High School. We want to be sure that we participate in that. There will be a public meeting later on. It has not been announced through Parks and Rec about the Kenwood area, the Kenwood Park, and in the building there. The building has been closed, and we've shipped our seniors to the west side to have lunch. So we were hoping to get our building back open and get the seniors back going and get the kids going there. I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. And please look for the next, please, if you did not leave your information back there, Carrie's going to give me your sign-in sheet, I hope.
Yes.
And I hope that you all have names, addresses, phone numbers, your neighborhood association. Now, the reason I need that is because sometimes the phone doesn't work, sometimes email doesn't work. Guess what? sometimes we gotta go to your home to make you, to meet you. So please, 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 thank you again. It's been a great meeting. There is one more meeting. There's gonna be a meeting in Edison. Wait just a minute. Mr. Green, would you like to come forward and talk about the meeting that's gonna be held on Odell?
I'd like to know where the sign-in sheet is as well.
Back here.
I'd like to sign up for these, please. Thank you very much. Hi there, everyone. This is my first time here. I'm Michael Green. I'm the president of the Edison Neighborhood Association.
I'm sorry. 92.
96.
There again. There again.
Reinvigorate the foundation. There's a meeting coming up, which I've been informed about, in which
Microphone. There you go.
in which there are a couple of ladies who want to reinvigorate some vacant lot in the Edison neighborhood, and I told them about the Triangle Park garden, how that has been enhanced the neighborhood. And one of the ladies who is helping this, she's a nurse, and she finds health care for people. That's her job. That's what she does. She's very interested in the idea of people having gardens so they can grow their own vegetables, right? Diet is the basis of health. We all know that. And yet we have food vendors. We need a garden in just any neighborhood area. That's what I want to do. I would appreciate any help. Yes, my phone number is 210-811-32.
And this is the president of the Edison Neighborhood Association, by the way. I should have introduced him first. Yay!
Thank you, Daddy. I appreciate that. So, the meeting is about the park. I'm going to put my glasses on. I will tell you what it says. Staying on the moral side, 30 and it is don't be afraid. I-30 April 3rd, 10 a.m. See you there.
Good lady, how are you?
Staying busy?
Very busy. We have it every Friday. I'm doing
Friday?
Yeah, 12:30 to 1:30 every Friday. Yeah, join us. That'd be great. You doing good?
Yeah, just helping like this campaign.
Good. Thanks for helping, man.
Yeah.
Very important.
Very important.
Yeah. I'm gonna try. Not tyranny.
No tyranny here.
That's good. Well, come join us. You got my number, don't you?
I do.
Okay. Come join us anytime. You know, just show up. You can let me know. Check with me or whatever.
Been going on?
Say again.
How's it going with the whole abortion thing now? Because I
Well,
don't like that. I don't like that. From the SAI, San Antonio. Yeah. It's interesting that he's like, we're not even arresting the person already right now. I'll go arrest him.
Anything with us, because he ties himself to us, because there's so pro-life that it'll divide his base of support. You know, like you'll have bigger base of support because people respond to the truth. Give him a chance. His methodology is.
And he's not even supporting like the. But he went and called for our support at contested property. But they were like, well, who did you endorse? People that are voting for this? You're wanting us to help get the word out to go against the big supporting the people that are voting for the very beginning. So I don't know how much truth there was to that. I just needed to do more research on that.
Jeremy, Mario.
Hey, I appreciate the comments that you made about, if the council members were asked, I think this is what they would say. I wasn't paying attention real closely, but this is your opportunity to petition the government, and we have to put stuff, the city clerk certified it, and so we have to, no matter what the issue is, we have to.
I had a long conversation with her. I disagree with her.
Yeah.
And I disagree with the council. But I want to represent them as best, as accurate as they can.
I'm not an attorney, but the city has attorneys, and they advise us, and they say that we're required to do this, and it's like a clerical duty. And
I wish you could have others. We have our attorney is a former assistant city attorney.
Oh yeah,
very well versed. His name is Drew.
Okay.
And he represents 2015 in the city. And the illegal zone and Planned Parenthood on that. Anyway, very well versed, and we have two attorneys actually. One's a state election attorney, and then him. So there's quite a lot of law. I mean, even if you read the Supreme Court's decision or not, but the reason minority decision, they said this is actually clear black letters, but they didn't want to handle the political process.
What you often see with judges is that they err on for elections. They err on the side of letting the voters decide.
Right. And so they certainly did there.
Yeah.
Exactly. But there's a law there for purpose. So they in my comment to them is you play politics instead of play the law. And I understand where they're coming from. I can appreciate it. At the same time, disagree with it and disagree that you didn't follow the law because it's very clear that the city used this deadline. So y'all, you only had 7 votes.
I remember that.
7 votes.
You need 8 for it to be applicable immediately.
For effect immediately. So it didn't go into effect for 10 days. So the 78-day cutoff was the next day.
I wondered how that really was going to be made.
And they say that's correct, but they didn't want to interrupt the voting process. Interesting. So when you have a black letter law like that, and the minority says the only reason we would do it is in this case where a city missed its deadline.
Yeah.
And that's only, but they were the minority.
Okay.
So good to see you. I see you.
No, we haven't voted on it. We voted to put it on the ballot because we put it on the ballot, right? And because this is what we were advised, right? Is that you have the right as a mayor.
You go by mine or by? Sorry,
Sam.
Yes, Sam.
We have a city charter. City charter is like a constitution for the city. And you have the right to change it. Right? And so if you get 20,000 signatures and you submit them to the city clerk and they're certified as valid, then the city council is required to put whatever that issue is, the change on the ballot for the voters to vote on. And so a group put together this charter amendment. They got the signatures.
That's the situation.
Well, it's like I said, all these things that are happening are not happenstance.
I just followed what the city attorney did.
Which they can't do.
They signed their signatures on the paper.
Unless they get in there and cut the root out.
A lot of people sign things without reading the
Did you ask your husband to call me?
I did.
Yeah.
Did that make you do that? I will. I'll remind him. You don't have his number?
Not approved it. The city clerk approved, validated the signatures. And because the signatures were told, correct. You can, if the signatures are valid, no matter what you bring us, we got to put it on the ballot. No matter what.
Yeah. Good. Now you got it.
Thank you.
That's the best way to get home. That or either.
Like paragraph describing this is what you're signing for. And is it in line with what the actual policy is?
I mean,
That's
it was
my-
whatever it was on there that they signed.
Well,
Mario.
Hey, how's it going? Michael Seminary. Good to meet you.
Okay, well, you all have a good night.
see what happens.
Yep.
All right, good night.
I'm not good on names, but I met her. She's honest as all. She has been out a couple times, but she was
very involved.
Years ago.
Oh, Adrian, yes, I just got
I got him. I asked him.
Likewise.
We're going to do a closing prayer if anybody wants to be part of it.
Oh, so a
Let me close this door real quick.
Oh, sorry.
We're gonna close the prayer.
Now, we know that some people have to leave, but that's understandable.
It's good to see you in person.
I'm here.
Okay.
Come on, we're gonna have a closing prayer right here. Lisa, come and be with us, please. We have imposed on the pastor to say a closing prayer that is very important.
Oh, dear Heavenly Father, once again, we come before your throne, first of all, being thankful for the opportunity we had to make friends and get to know issues and get to know people. And we thank you, Lord, for those that are still here with us this evening. And we're asking for your blessing to continue and to be poured out abundantly over each and every one of us. Father, keep us safe and protected. Don't let us go into temptation, but deliver us from evil, as your word says. Father, we're asking in Jesus' name that this week continue to be a blessing to each and every one of us. Guide those who are candidates. Lead them forward, Father. May your will be done, and may you be glorified in the city of San Antonio. We thank you for this city, for this state, and for this nation. And we ask, Lord, that everything be done according to your will. As we are preparing to leave, we ask that you go with us, and that we may arrive safely at home. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Amen. Broadcasting live from Spanish Christian Church, just north of Hildebrand on San Pedro. On behalf of the San Antonio Family Association.
Anybody want to take it home? Chocolate Chuck E. Cheese.
We thank you for watching this broadcast with us with OPTNA Neighborhood Association and Betty Eckert, Jerry Peters, and crew. Thank you very much for your time and attention. You can find this at San Antonio Family Association on Facebook. It will also be publicized on San Antonio Family Association's other social media, Rumble and YouTube at San Antonio Family Association. Twitter at SAFA Family, SAFA Family. Website, SanAntonioFamilyAssociation.com. In this case, for this particular issue, SanAntonioFamilyAssociation.com/prop, as in proposition. SanAntonioFamilyAssociation.com/prop. This is Patrick Von Dohlen, broadcasting live for San Antonio Family Association at the request of Betty Eckert and OPTNA. Hope you have a great evening. May God bless you. May God bless Texas. May God bless San Antonio. Adios.